You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Well, Texas Tech is on the road. In basketball, that is. Down 45-32 at halftime, and Illinois came roaring back with a 26-16 run in the second half, mostly from JT Toppin. Wow. 3-point game right now because of a really terrible foul call on, I think it was Watts that picked up the foul.
I think we agreed.
3-pointers where the shooters, midair. No, not even midair. Like, it's basically targeting is what it is. They are intentionally leading with the crown of their shoulder into the defender, and then getting bailed out to shoot 3 free throws. So yeah, it was 58 all till that happened, and then Boswell made all 3 of his free throws, which is interesting stat here too. Illinois so far, 12 of 16 from free throws through free throw line. That's pretty good, 75%. How many free throws do you think Texas Tech has shot, Spencer?
6.
1, and that was in the second half. At some point, I missed it. It
was Watts when Tech took the lead, 56-55 or whatever it was.
Correct. He is 1 for 1. So Texas Tech is 100% on free throws tonight. So that's great. 10 minutes left in the game. Have shot 1 free throw on the road. It's totally fine. Not a problem.
We have an early request, Michael, to throw some shade towards Notre Dame. We'll get there.
Oh, this is my bread and butter. I cannot wait.
On the personal line, I have some shade to throw towards Oxford, Mississippi's way.
Oh, yes.
We'll get there. They are big mad.
As do I. Oh, I know. I have not seen that yet, but I imagine they are.
College football playoff rankings dropped, and little Texas Tech jumped somebody in the SEC. How could they?
How dare they?
Let me count the ways. Also, we're watching the basketball game. Obviously, we're talking about this. Can I just say, it's so Midwest of the Illinois team here to have 4 Eastern European name starters.
Right.
Can I also say it is a team of ugly MF dudes? Like, this is
I
tough
don't
to
know if you
watch.
can. I don't know if you can say that.
I mean,
Actually,
no homo, but good gravy, these dudes are rough.
Hmm.
Um,
Your Fox stream's better than mine. Mine's been blurry this whole game. So
hey, 7-footer, you can't carry the ball 5 steps and then get mad
a lot
when
of
you get called
traveling.
for a travel.
So much traveling. I mean, my 8-year-old's basketball game has seen less traveling calls than tonight. All over the place.
Anyways, so we're watching the Tech game. I was not very hopeful about this game coming into it because, like, one, it's a top 15 matchup on the road, and Texas Tech has not looked good in the first couple of games. That is the it's not a foul.
Well,
Certainly
of course it is.
not a defensive foul.
Yeah, absolutely it is because it's Texas
Stojakovic's
Tech,
kid. Yeah.
and Texas Tech has 15 fouls, and Illinois has 6. Oh, they just got 7. So maybe on the next play they get 1 because Stat Broadcast is always a little bit ahead. Got to even things up a little bit.
25.
Go ahead.
25 points off 10 Texas Tech turnovers. That's like unreal.
It is.
And 1. My boy JT. Our boy. Excuse me. It's okay. We'll take it.
Didn't
he
see
swiped.
much there, Spencer, to be honest with you.
We're going to get to a final recap on BYU. Newsflash, it's better than it looked on Saturday. Continues to get. This is why you got as much love and respect Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night. Maybe BYU wasn't a bulletproof 8-0, but what you did to them and the way you did it to them certainly catching people's gaze. They're noticing. Hashtag, if you will. We'll also preview the game versus UCF. Do they want to be called UCF for Central Florida, Michael? I can't keep up. It's like the Houston Baptist, Houston Christian, TCU, Texas Christian. Like one of those type of teams. Like they have letters, but they want to be called by their name, or they have a name and want to be called by their letters. And you better not get it wrong because you'll never hear the end of it. I'll get in there. Yes, sir. We got that, but we have rankings updates. And we mentioned earlier, people are around the country are big mad. Coach McGuire kind of took a shot at Notre Dame, but it was really more heaping praise on BYU when they were independent. But somehow Notre Dame got all up in arms. I especially love the Twitter back and forth between some Notre Dame podcaster and Henry Colombi. And Colombi, or Tech fans coming to Colombi's defense, screenshotting like his stats from the game where they beat Notre Dame. He's like, of anybody that has like any kind of cred to talk smack to Notre Dame, it's this dude. Like, oh, but you had to go to 3 different schools and when your NFL stats, everybody's like, did you play college football?
Yeah. What are yours, podcast guy?
And then also in the same breath saying like, do something against Power 4 competitions. Like, wait. So beating Notre Dame is not doing something against Power 4 competition? Like, where are we at, bro? Where are we at? Some of my favorite things from past couple of days. Henry Colombi, like a sneaky, very fiery Texas Tech defender online. Love to see it. Other things, ranking updates, AP poll, college poll, the coaches poll. I was talking to Samantha about this because those numbers came out first, and she's like, "We didn't even move up because we were 8 in the CFP rankings, and then moved up to 8 in the AP top 25 and coaches poll." I was like, "Yeah, really at this point, those don't even matter anymore. We're really
No,
worried about
they
the
don't.
CFP rankings.
Exactly.
But yeah, we moved up in the CFP rankings. We'll talk about that. Biggest lead, burying the lead here. Biggest thing, senior day this weekend. We have like 20 plus guys that could be participating. Well, at least between the super seniors, the seniors, potentially guys that are transferred in that are upperclassmen that may not be coming back. Although there are a few upperclassmen that I was surprised were only juniors. Looking at you, Terrence Carter. He's a junior. Also some seniors like Skylar Gill Howard and Reggie Virgil that could gain another year of eligibility that could come back. I wouldn't hate that. But then we'll talk about the game. Obviously, the game this weekend versus the Knights, the Citronauts, whatever you want to call them. Get to our preview of that. Soccer recap. Basketball. Played 2 games. There's one going on currently. By the time we get to it, it will have gone final. Questions. What do we learn? So let's just let's get going. We got a lot to get to, and it's already 12 minutes in.
Yeah.
Well, first, today is Veterans Day. So thank you to those veterans that are serving, have served. Without you guys and girls, we could not be where we are today, enjoying what we enjoy today. So hats off to you all. I hope you had, if it's your thing to go out and bounce around and go take advantage of all the deals and free things on Veterans Day, I hope you had a whale of a day doing it. If you're not that kind of person, then also hats off to you because you deserve it. So, final thoughts versus BYU, Michael. Texas Tech win 29-7. It's a 10.5 point line. Apparently, it got up to 12.5 at some point. Missed that. Somebody knew something. I don't know. I mean, I don't know which one of us can claim victory here. I had Texas Tech winning 34-17. So I was closer on the BYU score, but you were closer on the Texas Tech score. You had them 31-27.
Well, you were just more bullish on the win. I think on in this case we focus more on how dominant Texas Tech was, and your score shows that more than my 31-27 was predicting. Man, I just really thought BYU would come up with a couple of crazy plays here and there and make it interesting. But yeah, your 34-17 was really more how it actually went. So I would give you the nod there.
Oh, hit that. Oh, man. Missed a 3 and then high arcing rebound. About 7.5 minutes to go. Texas Tech down 68-65. Okay, so we talk about dominating things from this game. I mentioned it in the instant reaction. I didn't have the numbers in front of me. I have the numbers now. BYU ran 9 plays in Texas Tech territory the entire game.
Wow.
6 of them came in the fourth quarter. I believe on that drive where they scored.
Well, and I know one of the plays. Never mind. I was wrong. I was about to say something completely wrong. So
through the first 3 quarters, they ran 3 plays. And you're half the field.
That works. That works for the home team.
My internet looks like it's slowing down a little bit. At least my video. The other thing.
Your face is frozen over here, but I hear you.
Fantastic. I'm sure we're not going to lose something in just a second. Device struggling to record. Anyways, I think we're still good to go. I may have to turn the game off, which would be just too unfortunate. The other thing I noticed, it actually had nothing to do with the between the zeros game, but it was the post-game handshake, Michael. And I've talked about this a couple times. I gained so much respect for Coach Satake. So he sought out Joey McGuire as coaches do post game, right? They're looking for each other. And it's just the little things that he did, like not that he was giving extra respect because McGuire and his team won the game, but that it's just the gentlemanly thing to do. And I wouldn't have thought about it. I've been schooled on it more in the golfing world, but apparently, like when you go to give congratulations, you remove your hat. He took his hat off to shake hands with McGuire, and I was like, dude, like things like that represent him as an individual and a man that like I can get behind. Very much respectful. I love that. And then because we've seen the spectrum this year within just a few weeks too. Going back to the Leipold when they get in a screaming match, not a screaming match, but they got in that back and forth. And then you see this where they go in, they handshake, they hug, they're like patting each other in the back, and they separate, but then they come back in for another embrace. Like, I don't know. I really like that man. Big fan of his. I think they've got a pretty good team. I would not be surprised if Texas Tech has a rematch with BYU. I don't know if it would be any different in Arlington. I mean, yes, you did have quite a bit of the atmosphere there, but I think we heard a lot of people that were there. Yes, it was juice, but it was not like a frenzied atmosphere. It was very serious and businesslike, but very much like intimidating, but not like something's about to break. Oh, come on. Illinois is getting on a little run here.
Yeah, 8-0 run. Texas Tech hasn't scored in over 3 minutes. Down 72-65.
Okay, so Big 12 came out with their players of the week. Clean sweep, basically. Offensive player of the week, defensive player of the week, special teams player of the week, defensive line of the week. All Red Raiders. Yes, because there are so many teams now, like they will claim 2 guys in these categories, which is it's kind of a cop-out. Cam Dickey, offensive player of the week, J-Rod, defensive player of the week, Stone Harrington, defensive player of the week, so special teams player of the week, and then Texas Tech defensive line was the defensive line of the week. Cam Dickey also has taken over as the Big 12 leading rusher. I'd say kind of quietly, but like obviously that game against Kansas. Also, like Illinois has got to be up there with like some of the hokiest fan things they do. Up there with Baylor. Like, what is this?
I don't know.
We have nothing better to do than make ourselves look like idiots. I say that because I'm also a little irritated that they're winning, but they look freaking stupid. Just gonna say it. Okay. Granted, so Cam Dickey, Big 12 leading rusher, is a total, right? And he's done 10 games versus LJ Martin, who's now at 9 games, and he was limited this past game and the game before. He's now second at 824 yards. Cam Dickey through 10 games is 867. He's got 11 touchdowns, 5.5 yards per carry. Raleek Brown is third from Arizona State at 770. So even with LJ Martin being limited, he's a good 55 yards behind. Jacoby Williams is 8th leading rusher in the Big 12. But what caught my eye was that he is ahead of team leading rushers from Arizona, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, Kansas, TCU, UCF, and West Virginia. So those teams leading rushers are all behind Jacoby Williams, and he's your second. Also, West Virginia does not have a leading rusher on the top 25, and that's all that's listed. It's the top 25 rushers in the Big 12. West Virginia's not on that list. You've got 2 guys.
Well, it doesn't hurt that one of them got over 200 in one game.
Yep. JT Toppin just hit 31. I guess it's back-to-back games now. 4.5 to go. Oof,
At one point, he was 9 for 9 in the second half. Ooh. Stojakovic is just lethal. Is he always this good? I have not kept up with him. I mean, I think this is the third school he's been to, so it's not like it's been easy. But yeah, what is he? 10 of 14 on the night. He was 5 for 5, I think, going into halftime.
Were these losers Super Bowl?
Yeah, I thought surely he'll slow down, and he kind of sped up. So yeah, 21 points, 10 of 14 shooting.
I mean, I get the defensive game plan to double JT every time he touches the ball, but like,
well, it's kind of a soft double too. A lot of times whoever's playing at the top of the key comes down and kind of tries to bug him for a second and then go back, but it's an interesting strategy. I think it's worked for him a couple of times.
That's a travel.
Ooh, good deflection.
No way he makes that. Okay, good. Whew, golly, that was a...
Oh, that was yeah, I see your travel now. 23. He took 4 steps going into the lane. Yeah, I think Texas Tech has also done a lot better in the second half, getting their hands up and going for the ball.
Yeah, still down 7 though. The under 4 timeout.
Yep. It's not looking great. But shoot, they were down 7 at halftime. Then all of a sudden they tied it up. So
yeah,
not 7, more than 13.
Yeah,
it's got my 2s and 5s backwards. Carry the 1.
I do want to get through some defense before I go back to offense and we touch on the red zone stuff. We talked about the 9 plays total that BYU ran in Texas Tech territory. Texas Tech defensively allowed 0.6 yards per carry before contact. That's pretty good. 78% pass rush win rate, which but how is that possible? Because you only had 1 sack. Let me also tell you this. BYU, at least through the first 3 quarters, when they dropped back to pass, they were running 2, sometimes 3 routes. I mean, they were running 7 or 8 man protections. They were keeping in 2 or 3 extra blockers on your pass rush. And somehow, because you're that good, you still tallied up 78% win percentage on those pass rush. Did you get a sack every time? No, you got 1 sack. There was one that was, I think, you flushed Bachmeier and it turned into a run, but you tackled him behind the line of scrimmage. It was definitely a called pass play. So at some point in that play, it was determined it was a running play. But after the game, I was irritated, disappointed with your lack of sacks on the game. And then when I went back and watched a little bit more of it today, I was noticing just how often BYU was keeping 7 and 8 guys, or I guess 7 guys, 7 and 8 guys back in pass protection to give Bachmeier time to look at his 2 receivers. And you know what he was throwing into? You still had 5 or 6 guys in pass coverage. Like, they were keeping 7 and 8 guys in to block 4 or 5 of your guys. It was almost a 2-to-1, and you still tallied a 78% pass rush win rate. There were times, specifically on the interception, Lee Hunter was doubled, and he beat the double team and had Bachmeier in his arms. Your defensive line is just stupid good. So much so, Michael. PFF thinks this is the number 1 defense in the country, 96.7 defensive grade, 94.5 run defense grade, number 1 in the country. 91.8 pass rush grade, number 1 in the country. 93.4 pass coverage grade, number 1 in the country. 90.9 tackling grade, that's 3rd in the country. And in terms of the top ranked players, just individual players, number 1 is Ruben Bain from Miami, the defensive end. But then Texas Tech has guys 2, 3, and 4 in the country. Jacob Rodriguez, David Bailey, Romello Height, in that order, 2, 3, and 4, behind Ruben Bain of Miami.
We're going to play defense at Texas Tech.
I did not believe it to this extent.
My gosh.
I thought we were we saw we were better and improved early in the season. But when we said we were going to play defense, I didn't think we'd be like bests in the country in all these things. And not just like after one game, you played an FCS opponent. Oh, you're leading the country in run defense, which Texas Tech did a few years ago. And it was like, oh, that's kind of cute. It's fun. Like you'll never see Texas Tech on this kind of list, again. But now, and I know some people kind of discredit PFF for whatever reason, but like with a system that looks at not just total numbers and counting, advanced, nuanced stats, number 1 defense, number 1 run defense, number 1 pass rush, number 1 pass coverage, and 3rd best tackling group. I mean, you're playing defense, man. All right. You want to talk about red zone offense?
Yeah, I looked up some stuff. It's not great. We touched on it last week during the instant reaction where Texas Tech was ranked 95th or so on red zone touchdown scores. So although last week it looks good. So Texas Tech was 6 of 7 on red zone attempts, 5 of 5 on field goals. Obviously, not all of those were in the red zone, but that rate, 6 of 7, added up to their 48 of 54 on the year, and that places them 42nd in the country at 89% of the time they get in the red zone, they score of some sort. Okay, so that sounds good. And this is something that everybody listening probably already knows, but to the extent I actually went through all the stats to try to find out. So red zone touchdowns per trip. So Texas Tech has 29 touchdowns per 54 trips. That's 54% in that category. That would put them 106th in the FBS, which is not good. And it gets a little worse because what everyone looks at for this is red zone touchdowns per score. So Texas Tech has scored 48 times in the red zone. Of those 48 scores, 29 are touchdowns, as we've gone through. That's 60%. That sounds great, but that is 121st in FBS. There are only 2 teams in the Big 12 that are worse than that. One of them's UCF. They're 124th. They have 59% touchdowns in their red zone scores, and Arizona State is 126th with 57%. So Texas Tech plays one of these teams this week. Mm-hmm. They don't get into the end zone once they hit the red zone very much, but neither does Texas Tech. Something's got to give there. To go to the top of the NCAA, I hate to say it, but Notre Dame, a team that may or may not be a postseason opponent, they are number 2 in the country. They have scored in the red zone 33 times, and 30 times it has been a touchdown. That is a 91% touchdown percentage. And then Georgia, just a couple others that may or may not be seen later down the line. So Georgia's number 6, they're 87.5%. And Utah is number 7 at 86%. And I remember that. I think we noticed that before Texas Tech went up to Utah. I think Utah, just in the first 3 games they had, was really good in the red zone. And apparently they've stayed with that. It was just Texas Tech didn't let them get there. But that'll be the key, obviously. But something to keep an eye on that we have been keeping an eye on for 10 games now. And it is kind of as bad as you think it is. So as far as red zone scores, red zone touchdowns per red zone score, Texas Tech is 121st in FBS. Not great company. Got to get across that pylon. You got to get to the pay dirt. You can't settle for a field goal every single time. I'm not really sure what is going on there. I don't know if it's play calling. I don't know if it's personnel. I do think that sometimes Leftwich is bringing guys in that have just been sitting for 2 or 3 drives, and they're just forced to go in on this red zone package, and then stuff doesn't work. I'm not sure, but that's going to be a big problem, or it could be a big problem when you need 6.
50 seconds left. Texas Tech is pulled within 3. 76-73. Illinois ball. It's been basically Stojakovic versus JT Toppin. That's been the offense for both these teams. Get the ball to him, to those men. Illinois is 0 for 7 and 3-pointers in the second half. I probably just jinxed it. Why are we letting them dribble off the clock? Go get the ball. Let's go.
Toppin has 24 points this half so far.
Go. 26 seconds. Illinois up 78-73.
Tech out of
download.
timeouts.
There we go. 75-78. Okay, we fouled. Here. Yeah, we fouled. Just under 16. All right. All right, we didn't do a great job of this. We'll whip around the Big 12. Houston beat UCF last Friday night. We talked about that a little bit. But looking into the game a little bit more, UCF, I think it was maybe injury related, pulled their quarterback, Taven Jackson, there at the end. They put their backup in, who then threw the interception that sealed the game for Houston.
That's how little I knew. I tried to come across last week that I really hadn't watched much of the game, and then I just turned it on as I was about to go to sleep. And so I didn't even notice it was the backup QB that threw the interception.
Yeah, me neither. And we did talk about there's space uniforms, but there was blue on it. It's like, why are we doing blue? Let's see. Does he miss any free throws? Probably not, because we're watching it. Nope, makes the first. Saturday, Colorado at West Virginia. West Virginia was a 7-point favorite, 6.5-point favorite. West Virginia won by 7. They covered. Colorado did start the other guy, their backup. Who was it? Julian Lewis, whatever.
The older guy?
Maybe. Is it transfer? I don't know.
Yeah. We shooting some free throws?
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, I guess they're not in the bonus. Yeah, because they don't foul. That makes sense. We get the ball, though.
Yeah, they only have 5 fouls.
Yeah. I'm just so used to, with 12 seconds left, if you get fouled at the top of the key, you're going to be shooting free throws. But no, not yet. Foul disparity here, 20-8. Oh, that's wrong. It's only 17-8.
They're reviewing it. Yeah, he hugged him. Is that a? I don't know. They're reviewing something. I don't have the sound on. Kansas at Arizona. Arizona was a 4.5-point favorite. Kansas covered, with Arizona winning 24-20. So both teams, that hook as what was a differentiator. And then TCU blew it. TCU was a 6.5-point home favorite, lost to Iowa State, or Iowa State won it on the road 20-17. So as much as
I do
TCU
think
was kind of hanging around, potentially leaving themselves in the spot for them to sneak up and work their way into a conference title appearance if a lot of things went their way, did themselves no favors by losing.
I wonder if they're trying to call that a flagrant or not, because it didn't even look like he was going for the ball.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm with you. I obviously don't have the volume on because we're recording.
It was a flagrant one.
Okay, there we go. That makes sense.
And then Arizona State, Baylor, Cincinnati, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and Utah were all off. So other games, Oregon won 18-16. We talked about that one was going to be close because Iowa does that to teams. A&M on the road at number 19 Missouri without a quarterback. A&M won 38-17, getting a lot of love. And I guess deservedly so.
Yeah, I know.
They're a
It
good
hurts
team.
to say, but dang, they look really good.
And then Notre Dame, haters of America, haters of the servicemen and women. 25.5-point favorites at home versus Navy.
Yeah, 3 days before Veterans Day, and they take it out on the midshipmen, 49-10.
Yeah. No new job openings, although there was a lot of smoke about FSU coming open. It didn't, but could be soon. That looked like a foul, but everything looks like a foul to me.
That was all ball. You talking about on Anderson?
Yeah, but his hand went sideways. Your hand doesn't go sideways if they get the ball,
Because
right?
he blocked it that hard.
Stop it, Michael.
he just blocked the crap out of it.
And all that, we fouled them.
Yeah. Wagler just slipped and gets to shoot free throws now. I don't really understand that.
23 free throw attempts.
Yes. To 4. 4.
Yeah. Well, some of that is you're not being aggressive enough, but some of that's like, well, you're playing on the road, so
yeah. Looking forward to be back in Lubbock.
AP poll: Texas Tech moved up 1, BYU slid down 4. I don't know. Do you want to go through the AP and coaches poll, or you just want to do the CFP rankings?
The only reason I want to go through the AP poll is to touch on the Golden Domers. Dear to my heart. Huge Notre Dame fan here. So still a 7-2 team that the voters love, along with Texas. Texas went up 3 spots after a bye week. You pointed that out.
That's so ridiculous. It wasn't just like the 3 teams ahead of them lost.
No,
they jumped teams. They jumped teams on a bye.
Yeah, they did. The only reason I wanted to bring up Notre Dame was because their schedule, this is their last good game on their schedule this week, and it's a 7-2 Pitt team.
Good
game. And guess what? Just in time for them to play each other, just in time for game day to go up to Pittsburgh, Pitt gets ranked for the first time all season. I'm not sure. I tried to look that up and I wasn't positive. If I part of me thinks maybe they were ranked early on, week 1 or 2, but whatever. They hadn't been ranked for a while, and now they are, just in time to host Notre Dame. So you've got a top 25 matchup in Pittsburgh. Weird how that all kind of worked out for everybody. Lawan, we need
nobody
3.
Nobody wanted to shoot.
We need. He didn't. He passed up. I think he could have gotten a shot off. All right. Well, Texas Tech loses in Illinois. That goes final 81-77. Texas Tech. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more, but nobody really shot well from 3 tonight on either team. They both shot 22 threes. Tech made 6, Illinois made 7. So that wasn't really a game changer there. Field goals were about the same percentage, but what was a game changer was the points off turnovers. Illinois had 29 points off turnovers. Tech had 16. And then, of course, not to belabor the point, but Illinois did shoot 23 free throws and Texas Tech shot 4. That will affect the outcome of a game sometimes. Okay, so coaches poll, yeah, we can probably skip through that too, and get to the only thing that matters anymore as of last week. So the CFP rankings came out, as you mentioned when we got started. It's people a little bit salty. People a little bit salty down there in Oxford. So Texas Tech, little old Texas Tech, previously number 8 last week, beat number 7 BYU and jumped Ole Miss. We talked about this. We brought this up because someone's like, I wonder where Tech will get ranked. I thought, well, if people have enough stones to admit that a 49-0 drumming of a school that sounds like a shipping company is not as impressive as 2 top 10 teams going at it on the road and one of them completely dominating the other from the word go, then what are we doing? So I was kind of hopeful that this could happen, but I was still surprised to see that it did. And that's just hey, good job, SEC. That's what you get for scheduling. A company a school that sounds like it should be selling cookies or something as a cupcake in November. No offense to Old Dominion. But they make a hell of a chocolate chip cookie. And whenever I need to ship some freight across the United States, I call Old Dominion Shipping every time. Never let me down.
Let me read you their non-conference schedule, because guess what? They played 4 non-conference teams, Michael.
Don't forget, yeah, they all do
SEC's Georgia State, Tulane, okay, a decent team. Washington State, who is horrendous. And I'm not making judgment statements, because if you compare Texas Tech's non-conference schedule, like,
Washington State and Oregon State are that's a wash.
But guess what? They played Georgia State and the Citadel. Texas Tech had one of those type of teams on our schedule, and it was Arkansas Pine Bluff. Now, their Tulane game is better than our Kent State game. So, anyways, you talk about that. Their one loss was at number 9 Georgia by 8. Nope, by 8. I'm not in the that's a quality loss, but like you look at that's not like they got blown out or they got embarrassed or that like they were upset or they shouldn't have lost that game. Like, whatever. At the time, they beat a number 4 LSU. Where's LSU now, Michael?
Looking for a coach.
I bet they weren't the 4th best team in the country a month ago. They had a weird, well, I guess it was just a week off, but yeah, a week off between LSU and Washington State. But it looks weird to go from September 27th to October 11th. You're just missing the 4th. But at number 9 Georgia, at number 13 Oklahoma, home versus South Carolina. Anyways, the playoff committee decided at this juncture in the season, when Texas Tech moves to 9-1 after a convincing victory over a fellow top 10 team to jump Ole Miss.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be surprised at all when this gets reversed at some point, but I am enjoying it. This has been a wonderful 3 hours being ranked above Ole Miss
And Notre Dame. Let's not forget,
Notre
Notre Dame's at 9.
and Oregon. Now Tech was ranked above Oregon, I think, in all the polls last week, and maybe has been for a couple weeks. But that's felt good too, because Oregon was up so high for so long, and a lot of it was because of that Penn State win. And then people finally started to see what was maybe going on in Penn State, which wasn't a whole lot, and started kind of devaluing that a little bit.
They're not devaluing Indiana yet. But Michael, do you know what their combined opponent conference record is?
Mm-mm.
It's like 3-30. It has to be worse than that. They're like, they've won convincingly, but also they've played almost nobody. They played a Penn State team without a head coach, without their starting quarterback, and needed heroics, maybe the best catch of the year, to win that one. Their schedule: Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State. Wow. Talk about Cupcake City. Wow. Then they took on a number 9 Illinois. Number 9, Illinois is not number 9. Where are they now, Michael? Where's Illinois ranked now?
They're unranked as far as I know.
Unranked. Okay. So definitely not the number 9 team in the country, but beat them by 53 points. Okay. You won big. You won at Iowa. Close game. At Oregon by 10. Oregon at that point is number 3, but not the number team in the country. But okay, probably their best wins so far was at Oregon, Michigan State, UCLA, at Maryland, and a close game at Penn State. They finish Wisconsin and Purdue. Did they just get like, let's look at the bottom half of the Big Ten, chop it off there, and give that make that the entirety of the Illinois, Indiana schedule? Do they play anybody? Oregon, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it would have been Penn State.
Number 8 Oregon. That's right. There you go.
Anyways, I love this for us. Yeah, you're gonna play UCF this week, and I mean, I was just looking at Ole Miss. Who do they have this week? I was just there. It is Florida. They play Florida.
Who's fired their coach too?
Yeah. And then Oregon, I don't know who Oregon plays. So you could theoretically get moved or jumped with a win this weekend. Then you're going to be off. I doubt you'll get the Texas treatment and jump 3 spots after an off week. And then you get West Virginia. So I still maintain the best position. What I want for Texas Tech, I want to be in that 5 to 8 range. I prefer to be 5 or 6, but that 5 to 8 range where you get the home playoff game, I want to be in there. Yeah, you could say that you made it further into the playoffs if you made it into the 4 seed and you didn't have to play the opening round. I couldn't care less. I think a home playoff game much more valuable than having some kind of claim you made it further if you were to lose in the second round as a second game than if you lost in the second round as your first game. Anyways, fantastic. Number 6 team right now, and the rankings that matter, and you get a great opportunity this weekend to build on that, or to solidify it, or to say, you know what, Ole Miss, you still suck. Hope you don't lose to a coachless team. Yeah, BYU slid 7-12. Utah State at 13.
And Cincinnati entered the CFP rankings. They had a heck of a bye week too. Previously unranked and are now weighing in at number 25.
Good for them. I don't know how you go from unranked to ranked off a bye. You
Just
couldn't
a
find
lot of people
anybody
have
else.
to lose.
You couldn't find anybody else. Anyways, all right. So this weekend, Michael, hosting UCF, final home game of the season, which means it's senior day. Texas Tech has a metric ton of super seniors and seniors on this roster that have obviously given so very much to this university and this program and will be duly recognized. I'm going to read their names really quickly, and we can go back through and talk about impacts or positions or guys that you thought were surprised that are on this list. Like Duda Banks, I had forgotten he was as old as he was. I thought I didn't think he was a senior. But anyways, I think there are 3 super seniors still, but these are Bryce Ramirez, Trent Lowe, Davian Carter. And the rest of these guys are going to be seniors. At least a couple of them still have an outside shot at another year of eligibility, but the rest of these guys that are listed as seniors on the roster that will be recognized as in your senior day festivities: Skylar Gill Howard, AJ McCarty, Reggie Virgil, Lee Hunter, Baron Morton, Caleb Douglas, Cole Wisniewski, Duda Banks, Romello Height, John Carlos Miller, Jacob Rodriguez, Charles Esters, Mitch Griffiths, Roy Alexander, Terrell Tillman, Hayden Wigginton, Dante Balfour, Chief Collins, David Bailey, Gage Elder, Luke Dillingham, Jack Burgess, Hunter Zambrano, Will Jados, Vinny Scurry.
It's a little daunting. I've seen what this staff has done with the portal and with developing players they've recruited, but this feels the most talent heavy senior class we've had in a while. Do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Lots of producers on this list, lots of starters, lots of really big name guys.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of this, like, I don't want to say like, I doubt you could replicate success, but looking at these guys and positions you'd want to backfill or seek after replacements in the portal, I would be concerned at having a hit rate as high as it was this season. Obviously, you've got the staff and the process in place to make it happen. But I think there are also enough teams around that have seen what you have done and maybe tried to block you a little bit more this go around. Maybe they will overpay for somebody just to keep them away from you. I don't know. But you look at guys, I mean, the hit rate, like Skylar Gill Howard and Lee Hunter, where would this defensive line be without those guys? Like they anchor the middle of the line. Romello Height was going to be your star defensive end pass rush specialist. And he's been fan freaking tastic. And then all this stuff happened at Stanford, and you added David Bailey on top of that. Yeah, I just, there's so many names on here that's like it's hard to imagine like you go and get 1-for-1 replacements in a transfer portal or elevate through development on the guys that are already on the roster and you backfill their replacements. But this is a heck of a group of guys. Most of these have been starters or significant contributors at some point in their career. And you would be in a much different place without them. Let's put it that way. So excited to honor them this weekend and their impact. I don't know who else could be added to this list that's not currently on it. I don't want to speculate on like guys that may be leaving the program or that are on the fringes of getting another year of eligibility that would otherwise not be here. But here's a list of seniors and super seniors that you can pretty much guarantee are going to be participating in the senior day festivities. And I think it's been pretty well documented that like this staff, McGuire wants guys to participate in this, even if there's some kind of chance that they could be coming back. So if we honor you twice, oh no, you got to be honored twice. Whereas if you don't do it and then you leave early or whatever happens, or it doesn't come out in your favor, then you didn't get that chance. So they err on the side of like, we're gonna honor you. And if we honor you multiple times, then hooray. So all that going to be ahead of the game, the matchup with the UCF Knights, 4-5 coming into this weekend, 1-5 in conference play. The number 55 SP plus team in the country last week was 56. Texas Tech holding strong at number 4. It's a 2:30 p.m. kick on Fox. Michael, I cannot be the only one that was grossly disappointed to see that this is a Tim Brando game, right?
Well, it's why I bought tickets. I'm just kidding. But we did get tickets for this one. My mother-in-law has never been to a Texas Tech game, and I can't remember what got her there, but she ended up somehow in this function where it was an all-day learning thing about the masked rider and the tradition, and it had a former masked rider teach it, sort of. It was just, and she was just fascinated by it, and she loved it, and she bought me a really cool coffee table book about the masked rider that
Wow.
we set up anyway. So she's never gotten to see the masked rider enter the field, obviously, because she's never been to a Texas Tech game, and so we're going. My wife and I are taking her on Saturday, and we're really looking forward to it. So that, but yeah, it wasn't solely because Brando's on the broadcast. I just
Can't hurt.
Maybe I just have more tolerance than most people. It's just it doesn't get to me as much as it does to others. And I don't know why that is, because so many things that bother no one else get to me. But for some reason, some of these announcers that people have strong feelings about, or commentators like RG3, I'm just kind of...
I like RG3.
I know, yeah, you and I, we're kind of on the same page there.
I also
he does do some kind of silly things, and you just kind of, whatever. But he does have some useful insight for sure.
Yeah.
Most of what he says is coming from experience.
I like Eric Collins as well. We haven't had him this year because I think Texas Tech has avoided being that far down on the broadcast here. He's been paired usually with a rough color analyst. But I've always enjoyed Eric Collins. Joe Davis, I've gone on record, a big fan of his. Haven't seen him this year. But Tim Brando, maybe this is a game I watch on mute or try to sync up with the radio broadcast, or just be okay with the radio broadcast being ahead. But anyway, UCF coming to town, led by Scott Frost on his redemption tour. They fired Gus Malzahn after he went 4-8 last year. They are 4-5, 1-5 so far this season. Their wins have been over Jacksonville State, North Carolina A&T, and North Carolina, 34-9, which was a eyebrow raise game early in the season. They won 3, then lost 3 at Kansas State. 2 touchdown game at Kansas State. Lost by a touchdown at home versus Kansas. Lost by 9 at Cincinnati in a weird 20-11 game. Their starting quarterback, Taven Jackson, did not play in that game. So maybe that had something to do with it. Bounced back with a big win on the road. Win over West Virginia, 45-13. Then lost 30-3 in Waco. And then most recently lost at home versus Houston on the Friday night space game, 30-27. Both teams equally penalized, 68 penalties on the season, both tied for 108. So that's finally a game this season where it's not going to be a advantage for the opponent for Texas Tech. When they have the ball, they are the 77th S&P plus offense, going up against the number 5 S&P plus defense, up 3 spots from 8. They are led coordinator wise by Steve Cooper, on the field by Taven Jackson, assuming he's healthy. He did go down late. I just assume he's coming back. I've not seen anything specific to this point. Availability report will come out Wednesday. He completes just under 62% of his passes, 1,470 passing yards, 5 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. This team, I think, has a total of 6 passing touchdowns on the season, Michael.
Yikes.
You're like, well, maybe there's a really heavy ground game. Yeah, not really. Leading running back, Miles Montgomery, 118 carries for 595 yards. It's 5 yards per carry. Reminder, your starting running back, Cam Dickey, has 157 carries, 867 yards. So almost 300 more yards, total yards, than their leading rusher. 4 touchdowns. Jaden Nixon is their other guy to be aware of. Only 46 carries, but 485 yards. That's 10.5 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns. So you got to watch out for that one, a little bit more of an explosive runner. Combined, that's right over 1,000 yards on 100 and almost 160 carries. So ground game is where it's going to be at. Jackson was, I believe, 3rd on the list for running, but it was far distant from those two guys. When the ball's in the air, it's going to Dwayne Thomas. 40 catches on the season, 402 yards, 10.1 yards per catch, but no touchdowns. Tight end Dylan Wade, 29 catches, 300 yards, 10.5 yards per catch, 1 touchdown. And then DJ Black, the other guy to be aware of, 18 catches, 244 yards. It's 13.5 yards per catch, 2 touchdowns. Earlier, Mike was talking about the Texas Tech offensive red zone scoring. UCF converts 82% of their red zone opportunities. Texas Tech, what you said was what, 89?
Correct.
Yeah. So they have 82. It's even less. They have 27 red zone trips on the season. They've scored on 22 of them and 13 touchdowns. Of those 13 touchdowns they've scored in the red zone, 12 have been rushing touchdowns. So if you think about this team being much better on the ground, going up against your defense, I think you've got a pretty significant advantage there. They've only allowed 12 sacks on at least 304 pass attempts. So not a heavily sacked team. Jackson is mobile enough to kind of avoid that. But defensively, Texas Tech is now the number 3 scoring defense in the country. They moved up after this past weekend. 12.6 points per game. 29 sacks on the season. That's 10th in the country. 57 quarterback hits. 71 tackles for loss. It's 12th in the country. 11 interceptions. 12 forced fumbles. 17 fumble recoveries. Still only allowed 3 explosive runs on the season, which is 20 yards or more. BYU's longest run of the game was 12 yards on the very first handoff of the game. Second play, first handoff, and went for 12 yards. And then your performance this weekend got you upgraded to the number 1 rated defense and stop rate. As a unit, UCF throws the ball. Nope, those are BYU numbers. I did not update those numbers.
Oh, yeah. Same 217s.
217. Give me a second to pull up the link. I can tell you exactly what it is.
I'd help you, but I'm fighting a sneeze.
It's just loading. That's still loading. I had to accept the cookies. I love a cookie right about now.
Yeah.
Good gravy.
You know who makes
All right,
good
here
cookies? Old Dominion.
Actually, okay. So they pass for 216 yards per game. So pretty close to what BYU is doing at 6.4 yards per attempt. It's pretty bad. Pretty short. And they rush for 186 yards per game at 5.5 yards per carry. So that's good. They convert, those are BYU numbers. I can't even trust that. They convert 33% of the third downs, Just not good, Bob. And then they score, where was that? 27 points per game. Defensively, Texas Tech is allowing 196 yards per game through the air at 5.5 yards per attempt, which is so good. 74 yards on the ground at 2.4 yards per carry, even better. Teams are only converting 32% of third and fourth down. And like I said, scoring 12.5 points. Defensively, for the Citronauts, as they are so affectionately referred to, defensive coordinator, I actually laughed when I saw this. Alex Grinch is a defensive coordinator, and not because he's bad, but just like he just kind of bounced around a little bit. And this is where he's landed. Of the two units, their defense is better than their offense. They have 21 sacks in the season, led by Malachi Lawrence, who has 7. And then their other linebacker has, I think, 3 or 4 himself. 56 tackles for loss, 8 interceptions, but 3 of those came versus Houston. And I think all 3 of them came. It was the same guy. It was Philip Dunham, their safety. 30 passes that batted down in 22 quarterback hurries. Compare those 22 hurries for UCF defense to yours. We have 57. 7 forced fumbles, 5 fumble recoveries. They're led in tackling by a couple of linebackers, Lewis Carter and Cole Kozlowski, 65 and 59 tackles respectively. But they're going up against number 4 scoring offense in the country in Texas Tech, scoring 42 points per game. Morton is completing just under 66% of his passes on the season, almost 2,000 yards, 9.1 yards per attempt, 14 yards per completion, 16 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Has now played in his 3rd complete game of the season, game number 10. We talked about the running back numbers a while ago. CD, leading receiver, 43 catches, 606 yards, 5 touchdowns. Aiken has 39 catches for 512, 4 touchdowns. Terrence Carter, 31 catches for 420 yards, 5 touchdowns. Virgil, 40 catches, almost 500 yards for 5 touchdowns. And then Jacoby adds another 23 catches and 330 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jacoby is closing in on 1,000 scrimmage yards. I was just there. What's his rushing number? 617, and he's got 332 through the year. So he's got 959. So I assume if he plays this weekend, he will eclipse 1,000 yards. Texas Tech as an offense is throwing the ball for 287 yards per game at 8.3 yards per attempt, 193 yards on the ground, just under 5 yards per carry, converting 48% of third and fourth downs and scoring 42 points. Defensively, UCF allows 168 yards through the air, 6.2 yards per attempt. So they're a pretty decent pass coverage team. 153 yards on the ground. Not great, but 3.9 yards per carry is serviceable. Teams are converting almost 38% of third and fourth down conversions, and they hold teams to 20 points per game. The CFB Graphs matchup very much likes Texas Tech in this one. Is a 23.5 point line where it was. The margin here for CFB is in the space of 25 points. It says 33-8. So I would say, based on them being on the road, Texas Tech being at home, I'm just going to jump right in my predictions, assuming that there isn't some kind of big emotional letdown after the game this past weekend versus BYU, and you're like, okay, we're through the hard games. We have 2 games left. You're not done by any stretch of the means. You're not done. You still have to win these games. Their strongest offense, the thing they do best on offense lines up with what you do the very best on defense. They're not a great passing team. Your pass rush, pass coverage is really, really good. When you slow them down on the ground, which you will, and if they have to go to the air, it will get ugly. We've seen this every game this season, outside of one. So I've got Texas Tech winning this one. I actually hope that Baron Morton does not get his 4th complete game of the season. We've heard, and it was confirmed, that he's been dealing with a leg injury, a little bit more severe than we had thought, with a broken bone in his leg, a hairline fracture, but still looks okay to start the game. But as it wears on, he gets increasingly more sore. I would love to see him come out of halftime in warmups, not because he's hurt, but because the game is out of hand, and we're going to turn it over to Mitch Griffiths and Holden Phillips to pace this one on out. So no, it will not be like a 50 type of game. I don't think you're scoring 50 points this weekend, but I also don't think it's going to ever be in question or anywhere close. I think Texas Tech wins this one like 41-10. So I don't know what yours is. You got it blacked out. I hope I didn't just take your points, Michael.
No, you didn't. You didn't, but we're close. We're very close.
But I'm going to go 41-10.
Okay. There's mine. We were pretty close. You're still more bullish than I am, because I feel like I owe this team not necessarily an apology. I just am still surprised and awestruck by how suffocating that defense was last week against BYU, and how Texas Tech was able to just. I mean, BYU was not able to do anything offensively. And it would have been nice to see Texas Tech get into the end zone a few times. So that's what I want to see this week. This is my Super Bowl right now. Is I need to see some red zone touchdowns on offense. We went over earlier how there's only 2 teams in the Big 12 who get it in the end zone less than Texas Tech does, and you're playing one of them this week. So on defense, I need to see 0 red zone touchdowns. Maybe UCF gets one late in the game on a long play or a blown coverage or something like that. But please put it in the red zone offense, and please keep them out of the end zone once they hit the red zone defense. And yeah, you're going 41-10. I'm going 42-16. I picked BYU to cover last week. I just thought it would be closer. And I thought, you know what? I'm done doubting this team. Texas Tech's going to roll. They're going to hit the over, and they're going to cover, and give Mitch Griffiths some time to enjoy his senior day, taking some snaps in the 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, I do want to come back and I guess use some numbers from this season to back up my point here. I've been tracking the score by quarter for every game, home, away, conference, non-conference. Your home conference games, Michael, you're averaging scoring 38-8. So when I say you're going to win 41-10, it's really not that much off of your deal. Like, yeah, you give up a couple extra points than what you're averaging, which maybe I shouldn't be giving them any extra credit for. But I'm giving you a few extra points. I mean, you could beat them 38-7, and I'd be okay with that too. Or 37-7, more of a, well, you could score 38 points, and that's not that weird. Yeah, fewer field goals, fewer red zone field goals, at least. On the road, those numbers only drop a little bit. You're scoring 34 points per game on the road and give up 17. You're not on the road this week, by the way. But at home, 38-8 is what you've been doing this season. So that's where I'm at. let's look around the West. Look around the rest of the Big 12 this weekend. Actually, hold on. There's a comment here. I think we should touch on it because I think it wraps up the conversation here about the preview here and the rankings. Manny says, not sure if we talked about this already, but the head of the CFP said the reason Tech wasn't higher was touchdowns in the red zone woes.
What? I was too busy watching basketball.
Other people are noticing too.
Dang. Okay. That's becoming our thing.
So let's right that ship a little bit. And
lock it in.
Finish drives in the end zone. You don't have to score from afar. You don't have to score every touchdown from outside the red zone. You can't have a sustained drive that enters the red zone and you score a touchdown. That's okay too. Doesn't have to be all tricked up. Doesn't have to be all fancy. We'd love to see fewer penalties. I hate that we come out of a timeout or whatever and we get a penalty, or we get in the red zone and we have a false start. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah. Well, and now we can argue that you have the number one running back in all of the Big 12, and you're not just handing him the ball when you're on the 8-yard line. You're not just doing that 2 or 3 times.
Look,
seeing if that works.
That diamond formation he scored that last touchdown in, do that. Yeah, you're bringing in different people, and you have the ability, the greater chance that maybe you get a false start.
Yeah, just
do it more often, and they'll have the experience. But
just expect a lot more of me and others like me saying, we got the number one running back in all the conference, and we're not just handing him the ball. We're not just. What are we doing? So that's
run the dang ball.
RTDB.
Yeah. All right. Rest of the conference: Arizona at Cincinnati, 11 a.m. kick on FS1. Cincinnati's a 6.5-point favorite. This one is kind of sneaky, interesting, because Arizona's been a little more feisty, and Cincinnati coming off of bye week, ready to solidify themselves in the conversation for like, we deserve to be considered not only for higher rankings, but for a spot within the Big 12 title game. They get a shot at BYU the following week, which will be big time. I don't know how I feel about this one. I think I would like to see Cincinnati win this one and cover. I don't like rematches. So if Tech is going to make it to the Big 12 title game, I'd actually like to see Cincinnati in it.
Yeah, I think I would take the Bearcats here. They are coming off of a bye week. I think Arizona did play. Arizona beat Kansas that you mentioned earlier. Just a really very important 4-point game to some, but it was just encouraging to see Cincinnati, with all the crap that the Big 12's been getting, enter the CFP rankings after a bye week. So keep it rolling. Go Bearcats.
Kansas State on the road at Oklahoma State. I think it's a 3 touchdown? Yeah, 20.5 points. That's not enough.
Yeah.
I think Kansas State's going to win this one bigger than that.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm tired of taking the points against Oklahoma State.
West Virginia at Arizona State. Arizona State's a 12-point favorite at home. TNT HBO Max. I don't know if this is a Jeff Sims or if they're going to have Tyson. West Virginia's been kind of interesting, but I think Arizona State's going to have this one.
I'm taking the Nears at plus 11.5 because they've been playing a little bit better lately. They have 6 losses. They're going to be fighting for bowl eligibility. They at least have that kind of to play for. So I'll take that too. Plus Arizona State's beaten up a little bit.
So I want to see Arizona State win this one close. Take all the fight out of West Virginia.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing West Virginia have a 7 on the L column by the time Texas Tech plays them.
Yeah. Utah, 8.5-point favorites on the road in Waco. Why is this number only 8.5?
I think I'm going with the Utes. Did you just say
Unfortunately.
Utes?
The what?
The
The
Utes?
Utes? Good movie. Yeah. This one doesn't make sense to me. I would take Utah a lot more than that. So maybe somebody knows something that I don't about Baylor, but yeah, give me Utah. TCU at BYU. BYU is a 4.5-point favorite. Again, that one feels small for this game. TCU on the road, shown they can't handle business. They lost to Iowa State this past weekend. How much fight do they have left? BYU still has a lot to prove. I'm going to take BYU at home.
Yeah, me too. They're well coached. They're a good team. Tech's just got a really good defense.
Yeah. And then Houston, Iowa State, Kansas, and Colorado all off this weekend. Do any of these other games catch your eye, Michael? Big Noon, Michigan versus Northwestern at Wrigley.
Just the location. The location gets me. I may try to catch part of that at least just to see what it looks like. But yeah, the game itself, no.
Game day, Notre Dame, 10.5-point favorites at Pitt.
I'm going to ignore this one out of principle. I've already talked about it more than I should have.
It won't do the same numbers that Texas Tech and BYU did, or BYU and Texas Tech did.
No.
Just saying. Number 12, Oklahoma at number 4, Alabama. You legitimately could just turn ABC on and just watch all day and not change the channel and have a decently good or decently entertaining day.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, you've got 2 back-to-back SEC matchups, but Oklahoma at Alabama. Oklahoma could do a lot of favors if they were to beat Alabama. I don't know though. 6.5-point favorites are the home Tide, and then Texas number 11 and Texas at number 5 Georgia. The 6:30 game on ABC, also a 6.5-point home favorite for Georgia. I don't see the home teams losing this one. Either of these matchups.
I don't either. I'm not sure if Bama will cover. Georgia has been playing people a lot of, really close lately too, especially this year. I feel better about Georgia covering the 6.5 than I do about Bama, but what I like about all this with 12 teams, stuff's going to work itself out. So we'll find out a lot in these 2 games. I'm glad you highlighted those because you've got these are the AP rankings. I can't remember where they are in the CFP, but number 12 versus number 4 with OU at Bama, and then number 11 versus number 5 with Texas at Georgia. It's just, this is great. This is great timing for this to happen too, because it's really going to matter. This isn't some September game that people are going to forget about. This is actually going to affect the CFP rankings next week.
These are almost like a playoff matchup, right? You like the 5-12, whatever. So Alabama's 4, Oklahoma's 11, so 4-11, and then Georgia 5, Texas 10.
Yeah.
So very close.
The committee likes OU and Texas better than the voters. Even better, I should say. Wow.
And then not many other ranked matchups outside of the SEC. There was like USC was, I think, that they had a ranked matchup against somebody, whoever they're playing. But yeah. All right. Anything else on
Rutgers.
football?
Yeah, I have no idea. No, I think I'm good. I can go through soccer really quickly. It'll be super quick. So there's been no matches played since we last recorded. Texas Tech went down last Monday to Baylor in penalty kicks in the Big 12 tournament. And since then, yesterday, Monday the 10th, the NCAA tourney selection was held, and Texas Tech was picked as a 6th seed in their side of the bracket, and they will be hosting UTSA this Friday, 6 p.m. at John Walker. Should be on ESPN Plus, as far as I know. It's not listed officially on the site, but I would imagine it will be. So Texas Tech makes the tourney again. They if they win, if they were to beat UTSA, they would go on to play North Carolina or number 3 seed Tennessee next Thursday, the 20th. And so if I would imagine if Tennessee wins, then it will be a road game for the Red Raiders. But if North Carolina wins and Texas Tech wins, they would then get to host a second game next Thursday. So definitely Friday night, 6 p.m. Find your ESPN Plus. Even if you have YouTube TV, if you're subscribed to ESPN Plus, you should still be able to log in, watch the Red Raiders, see how they do in the NCAA tournament. And as always, listen to Seeing Scarlet. My note says plug Seeing Scarlet, so that's why I randomly said that.
Plug.
There we go. There's the plug.
Basketball, we talked about it as it was going. I'm not going to have a full instant reaction or recap here, but Texas Tech fell tonight to number 14, Illinois. Ken Palm really liked Illinois there at number 3. It was a projected 9-point loss. Ended up losing by 4, 85-76. 77-81 was the final score there, with big games from JT Toppin and then Andre Stojakovic for the Illini. I've already talked about how they all had Eastern European names and they're all super ugly. I didn't like their game. I didn't like their game plan, but you'll be back home Friday night versus Milwaukee. Previously a number 212 team. So again, not the best competition, but definitely not in the 300s like you were seeing last season. And then getting you ready to then travel next week to go to the Bahamas to take on Wake Forest and then Memphis or Purdue. So that's your men's schedule. We haven't talked about last week's games because we recorded on Monday. They tipped off Tuesday versus Linden, won 328, beat them 98-60 without JT Toppin. It was a very strange lineup because you were without Toppin, without Watts, without Ben Boye. You got Watts and Toppin back for game 2 versus Sam Houston State. And Toppin went for 31 and 14 or whatever it was. And that 98-77 win, maybe some defensive concerns, giving up that many points versus Sam Houston State. But in a game stage in the season where you're still trying to get guys together, lineups that you've never played together yet, and then trying to learn the Texas Tech and Grant McCaslin defensive systems, maybe a little bit of an anomaly. You did give up 81 tonight, but you were on the road versus a decently good Illinois team. We'll see. But back home on Friday versus Milwaukee, and then next week in the Bahamas.
I've got a quick Lady Raider update too. They are 3-0 right now. Beat North Carolina A&T. We talked about that last week, and then Thursday they took down UTSA 79-52. Sunday they took care of Texas State 83-50. Jalen Bristow is averaging 17 points a game. Snuda Collins came off the bench on Sunday and had 20 off the bench. So it's still, Jimmy Nunez is playing well. They look really good. They really look like a team that can score and put up some points on people. As everybody's experiencing this time of year, you don't know truly what you have based on competition you've played, but so far the Lady Raiders have won by 25 plus in all 3 of their games, I believe. So they do get a slightly bigger test against a Power 5 opponent now on Thursday. So Thursday night, 6 p.m., SMU's coming to town. That'll be on ESPN Plus as well. SMU is 1-1. They had a win in their opener versus Grambling State, 96-70. But then they did lose to Kansas State, 46-44. Both of those were at home in Dallas. So they will be hitting the road for the first time this season, heading to Lubbock this Thursday. I will be there. This will be the first one I've been able to get to. It's just been a crazy couple weeks, so we're excited to get to our first Lady Raiders game of the year. And then Sunday, Arkansas is coming to town. That's November 16th at 2 p.m. And then Thursday next week, Mississippi State's coming to town on the 20th at 6 p.m. So some Power 5 competition is headed this direction, and we'll see a little bit more about the Lady Raiders and kind of what they can do. But what I've seen so far, I've liked. It's the new players have kind of gelled a lot quicker than I thought they would. And one thing I've enjoyed about the Lady Raiders season is just there's so many more familiar faces than the Red Raiders team. It seems like the Red Raiders team is just two guys from last year and then just a complete new roster. And I think that's pretty much it. Lady Raiders, there's at least 5 or 6 names that I recognize that kind of have some different roles. I figured Blacklock would be playing a little bit more than she has so far, but I think Gerlich's getting some of her newer folks in a little bit more. But we'll see. That tends to drift. I think that kind of drifted last year. I think Blacklock started playing quite a bit during the first few games of the season last year, and then kind of saw her time diminish a little bit. So maybe it'll reverse. We'll see. But anyway, Lady Raiders 3-0. SMU's coming to town. Let's go.
Well, hope you enjoy your first game.
Yeah.
And then the game this weekend with the mother-in-law. Get to actually see you learn about the Master night, and I get to go see it. So,
well, and we really talked about going to the soccer game Friday, but we just thought, man, three days in a row is probably a little too much. Plus, we've got basketball Saturday morning, so we're trying to pace ourselves just a little bit, as much as we wanted to head out to the soccer game.
That's quite a bit.
Oh well.
All right, so let's wrap this one up. I don't have any questions. We covered everything from the chat already, so let's get to what do we learn. So, what did we learn, Michael?
Steak Express is just what you need when you need it. So
I never had Steak Express the
really
10 years I was living there, 15, whatever it was.
So last night, for whatever reason, our school it was a 4-day weekend. So our daughter was not in school Monday or Tuesday, and my mother-in-law wanted to keep her Monday night. And so I had to go into work early Monday and had to go out in the field and stuff. So it was just kind of a long day. And when I came home, I was treated to Steak Express delivery that my wife had ordered. And I get the burger because that's just my favorite. I just love their burger so much. And it was a burger and a baked potato. It was so good. It couldn't have hit the spot anymore. And then we also shared a piece of cheesecake with like the strawberry topping. And it felt like my birthday, but it was just a Monday. It was just a random Monday. It was Steak Express knocked it out of the park. I was tired. She was tired. Nobody wanted to cook. Nobody wanted to leave the house. They brought food to our door, and it was fantastic. Good job by y'all. Do you have a Steak Express down there in Corpus?
Actually, don't know. I don't think so. I haven't seen it. I'm gonna look it up.
You might. That's Nolan Ryan's deal, right? You need to give him a call. Isn't he somehow involved in that?
I don't know. Looks like the closest one is in Abilene, so no.
Oh man.
Abilene, Amarillo, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, San Angelo.
Yeah, I think I completely made that up about Nolan Ryan. I don't know if he has anything to do with it. Maybe he provides some of the beef. That's as far as I.
Like I said, I never had it. It always felt weird to like order steak delivery to go.
Yeah, absolutely, it's weird.
But missed out apparently.
It's one of the best parts is because when you get the baked potato, it's just a baked potato and foil. And so you get to do the whole process. You get to unwrap it, slice it, add the butter, add the cheese, add the sour cream, whatever you want to put on it. And same with your burger. So that, all the fixings are on the side. So you get your little packets of ketchup, mustard, mayo, whatever your poison is. Put that on your burger. You get your toppings. Toppings are always fresh. It's great. It's just it's fun. You just spend like 5 minutes just getting it all set up.
Doesn't sound like fun to me.
I know. And usually I'm that guy too. I'm usually just hand it to me. I'll eat it like it is. I don't care what's on it. But there's something about this that just takes it that extra step.
Yeah.
No free ads. But now everybody wants Steak Express.
Not a sponsor could be. That's what he's saying.
Yes.
Hit us up, Nolan Ryan. It's been a really weirdly busy time of year for us, especially at work, but also now personally. Like, I think we have 5 different work events happening on Saturday, but we're also doing our fall family portraits on Saturday morning. I have to go staff a work event from like 11 to 3, or it's supposed to go until 3. I'm hoping to be done long before 3. Tech football game kicks off at 2:30. The young men's group at church that I'm involved with, I'm supposed to go. Grayson's been invited. We may be going paintballing in the afternoon. After that, there's a birthday party he's been invited to. After that, Samantha and I have plans to go to dinner and go to the symphony here in town. It is very possible I could be returning home after 10 o'clock and having watched 0 seconds of Texas Tech football. I could also say, like, you know what? That all sounds like bunk, and I'm going to sit home and watch TV and watch college football. That sounds boring. It would otherwise sound boring if it wasn't Texas Tech. It sounds like I shouldn't put my fandom ahead of experiences for my family. But man, that's a lot of stuff that I'm not really a whole lot interested in. Paintball was cool like 20 years ago for me. I don't know how much I want to go run around with a bunch of teenagers and get shot.
You're going to be so sore.
And then a 10, 11-year-old birthday party at one of those altitude jump places. I wouldn't be jumping, obviously. So maybe that's where I kick back and just get the game up on my phone. But then for sure, as soon as that's over, we're going to be cleaned up and headed out to the symphony on a date. Samantha and I both have different stories about this one particular piece. One, when I was touring Texas Tech as a senior, the spring of my senior year, as a prospective music major, I sat in on a symphony rehearsal, and they played a piece I'd never heard before, and I was like, "That is fantastic! I love it." Like, it just caught my attention, and like I fell in love with it. Many years later, I introduced it to Samantha. She really loves it. She's like, you know what? If we ever get the chance to go see that performed live, I want to go do it. We get here, we're big sponsors of the symphony. My organization is. Comes up, I'm looking at the schedule. I was like, no way, they're playing that piece. I was like, Samantha, we got to go. She's like, of course we have to go. So we're doing that Saturday. But like, this is just downhill slope run to the end of the year. Like, it's already started. I don't know how we're coming into the middle of November. Halloween felt like it was just a couple of days ago. October 1st felt like it was a week ago. You know what kind of offsets that runaway time feeling, though, Michael, is I heard this from Josh Pate. I don't know if anybody listens to his podcast, but his Sunday podcast this past week, not related to Texas Tech, but was saying, hey, we are as close. We're at the midpoint, actually, the midpoint between week 1 of college football and crowning the national champion. We were at week 11, halfway through the season. He was making the point of like some teams, like they're just not built to be able to withstand the absolute length of this season because it is so much longer than you think. We're talking about coming into game 11, and for the eventual national champion, this is the halfway point, not in games, but in time.
Yeah, January 19th or whatever it is.
Yeah, he said we're like 70 something days away from both. I was like, golly, it's wild. Yeah, so we are 6 weeks away from Christmas, 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving. And the calendar is as full as ever. So if you were expecting things to slow down in November or at the beach, it doesn't slow down here. It's weird. It's wild. I got nothing else, Michael.
I'm done here, man.
Well, that'll do it for us then. 23 Personnel Podcast. Texas Tech wins this past weekend versus BYU 29-7. I think they win even bigger this upcoming weekend versus UCF. Hopefully with some rest for guys like Baron Morton. Basketball's rolling. This season is rolling. We'll be back at some point to talk about the game versus UCF. But for Michael, I'm Spencer. Catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at Punt Suck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.